Let's take you to Limpopo, where the provincial government in that province says communities in areas affected by illicit mining need to guard against being complicit in illegal operations. The Limpopo Premier's office says it is aware of the illicit mining taking place in areas including Ga-Nkwana in Sekhukhune district. Tumaole Mohlaoli is in Polokwane, Limpopo, standing by for us with the very latest at this hour. Good afternoon, Tumaole.
Very good afternoon, Dudu, and indeed the response is coming through from the Premier of Limpopo's office. And to take it further, I'm joined, of course, by the spokesperson to the Premier's office of the provincial government, Mr. Ndabe Ramakwela. Mr. Ramakwela, how prevalent is this problem of illicit mining? We covered an area in Sekhukhune, but I take it that it seems to be prevalent along the whole Platinum Belt. How far is that?
Good afternoon to you and your viewers. We seem to be experiencing a bit of these problems in the province, and in the past few months, a number of activities have been reported that are said to have been fatal at some point. And this particular case, there was an incident that happened last week Friday that the provincial government was made aware of as part of the things that we have dealt with previously through our security cluster. There has been, yes, indeed, a number of activities of illegal mining that have happened in our province, particularly along the Dilokong corridor, which is one of our developmental nodes, and that we have looked into that, and through our security cluster have put measures that would help protect the community as well as protect all the people who are involved in these activities. It is an unfortunate incident wherein lives were lost, and it is that we also issued a word of condolences to the people who are concerned, the families affected. But it is the activities that as a provincial government we have taken in a very dim light, and are hoping that as we continue interacting with various stakeholders, we'll bring an end to some of these activities that are becoming prevalent in this part of our province.
Mr. Ramakwela, when you say you take a dim view and you're engaging with stakeholders, what kind of engagements have been taking place, and when are you expecting them to start yielding some results? There are community and resident associations who say that this problem seems to be spiraling out of control, and they are even accusing the provincial government of not being in control of the area that they're supposed to govern. Perhaps bring us into light there in terms of those plans.
We have a forum that deals with illegal mining. Comprises the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, our local economic development, environment and tourism, as well as the South African Police Services and some of the mining companies that are involved in that area. It meets on a quarterly basis, but we also have a cluster of a security cluster that meets on a monthly basis to assess the risks that are involved in those areas, and also the problems that are encountering, and to put in intervention measures in those areas. There are a number of cases that the South African Police Services have reported wherein they've been able to stop such activities, but where they're not able to stop it, unfortunately we have engaged various community organizations and have asked them to also play their part by involving as well the traditional leadership in the areas, that by being more self-aware as communities about these illegal activities and liaising with the South African Police Services in the areas, liaising with the traditional authorities, we will be able to curb some of these activities, because we are also discouraging the level of complicity and that comes through, particularly from communities, wherein we find that they too play a major role in either harboring some of these elements or accommodating them in their villages, in their communities, and regularly seeing them in these activities that are going on. So we are encouraging communities through the networks that I've spoken about, through the stakeholder engagements that I've referred to also take part in combating the expansion of these illegal activities. And we know that it is a part that affects our bigger goal as a provincial government. We are looking at mining as a way in which we shall develop our economy, that it will lead to a growth in industrialization, particularly in those areas that we have identified. And we believe that such illegal activities then will put a hamper on our progress, that we will lack then the coordination that we require to make sure that everyone comes on board. We have said previously, the Premier of the province has reiterated that in terms of our development plan, Limpopo development plan, the priority is mining, followed by agriculture and tourism. And we believe that such acts then hamper our progress going forward. And that's why we are also strengthening the forums that we have spoken about, to make sure that communities are also involved, and that we, together with the South African Police Service and Security Cluster, we put a clamp down on these activities.
And of course, in October last year, if I'm not mistaken, the Limpopo mining indaba was held, and the Minister of Minerals and Energy is quoted to have saying that people with permits might or are welcome to mine because, of course, the permits gives them the ability to work within a regulated environment. As a provincial government, are you working hand in glove with the departments like the Minerals and Energy to help smaller players? Because we see that in illegal mining, it seems to be smaller players that are trying to edge their way and get a slice of the cake.
Yes, we are. Part of the work that we do through our local economic our development, environment and tourism is to encourage such kind of businesses. We have a unit or a branch which deals with corridor mining resources, wherein we have found eligible previously disadvantaged people who then participate, and we have different mines that have you come through the corridor mining resources, that we are using them to mine legally some of the areas. And indeed, from the conference that we held last year, we emphasized the fact that people who participate in illegal activities don't belong within the formal structures that have been set by the Department of Minerals, Resources and Energy, that they don't belong to that particular cluster, but they are breaking the law, and that's why the South African Police Services will come in handy to apprehend such elements, and that it destroys our development objectives. And that's why we are calling upon members of the communities, as well as all the people who are involved in these activities, that they must desist from doing that, and that we should continue to find legal ways of engaging with the minerals that are abundant in the province.
No, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for that very in-depth response from, of course, the Office of the Premier of the Limpopo Province. That's a spokesperson there, Mr. Ndabe Ramakwela. And the message there is that people who want to be part of the mining operations must do so within the legal framework. And I think this is quite a resounding statement when one looks at the beneficiation of mineral resources, when one looks at, of course, the recent January 8th statement by ANC President and, of course, President of the country, Cyril Ramaphosa, talking about small, medium enterprise development. And I'm sure that would also trickle down in terms of policy framework down to the provincial government. And when one looks at SMMEs and beneficiation, land, and, of course, the resources and the wealth of the land, central perhaps to that particular vision. We'll keep a continued close eye on the developments to see how the provincial government's plans and its vision will put a curb to this illicit mining, which is also quite dangerous based on what we saw for ourselves out in that area. But that is back to you in the studio.
Tumaole, Mohlaoli, thank you very much for that update. We'll touch base with you a little bit later on.